Okay, so today we're going to be installing the booster box. This is for any of the boosted boards in the booster boards family, any of them that use the extended or premium battery. This would be the boosted board 2, boosted board 2 Plus, and the Stealth. Put this down for now. Tools you're going to need are over here. You're going to need screwdriver, drill, whatever. You're going to need a 5/32 hex nut, Phillips head, a soldering iron. We recommend at least a 50-watt soldering iron, or station preferably. In this case, we're using a 70-watt Hakko soldering iron. For the soldering iron, using a really large tip soldering iron, preferably a new one. This one's a little used, just so you can get better thermal transfer over the solder joint, so you can get a better solder joint, so that's not cold, which is very important. Also gonna need some solder, some relatively thick solder. Doesn't really matter, it's not that important. Some flux we have over here. We have some really nice MG Chemicals flux over here. Not totally necessary though. You're gonna need some electrical tape. Preferably some pliers, might make soldering a little bit easier. And then you're also gonna need your XC60 booster board's connector to connect your box into your board, which you're gonna be connecting right over here. It's gonna go underneath this enclosure, come out here, plugs into the back of your box, and you're gonna have way more range. Okay, now that we've gone over all the tools you'll need, we're going to get our 5/32 bit in here. I'm going to start to take apart just this back side of the board. You don't need to touch the battery at all. So we're going to come around, take off these two bolts, or these two bolts on each side, total of 4. Just put these off to the side. These only go in one way, so it'll be pretty easy to tell. You want to make sure you have this chamfer bit here, facing the top. Okay, so now that we have the main ESC, so the electronic speed controller of the board, up, so we bring it up like this. I'm going to come around to the side. Bring it up like this. Bend around, it'll be a little hard to pull, but it's alright. Bring it up like that. You're going to want to swap over to your Phillips head. And down here you can see that the actual speed controls on the other side of this. This is mainly just a heatsink. And you don't need to take out all these bolts. You only need to take out 4 of them. So one right here, this one right here, right there, down here, and down here. So just these corner bolts. And these bolts are all the same size, or these screws are all the same size, so you don't need to worry about keeping track of them. Okay, once those screws are apart, this should just come off. Put that off to the side, put it over here. And now you have access to the actual board and speed controller itself. This is obviously a pretty used board. It's a little dusty, but that's alright, because the actual circuit board itself is completely coated. Alright, now that the speed controller is assembled, it's time to add this connector, the XC60 connector, so you can plug your box into your board itself. Now these are the 2 solder joints you need to worry about. Normally there'll be a conformal coating, a thin conformal coating over these joints, so you'll need to scrape that off, just like these joints here. It doesn't have it on these joints because we've already done this because we were prototyping, but you just scrape this off with either a flathead screwdriver or really whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not a super durable coating. Before we solder this on, however, if you look at the bottom, this is a metal plate here. So now these wires are going to come around and wrap underneath here. Now you have to be careful, because if these wires were to get damaged and touch this plate, they could short out and you could have a bad day. So we're going to take a little bit of electrical tape and we're going to cover this up so you don't have to worry about these wires shorting themselves. So just a bit of tape here. Grab my scissors. Tape here. Doesn't need to be that long. Just cover the main area that the wire's going to be touching. Come from right here. Come from right here, just below this joint here. That, and then press that down like that. So now the wires will come over this, be over this tape the entire time. Come down, look underneath here. Come over here. Now this is rubber here. Come out, and you'll be all good. You're also going to want to place another piece of tape right down here at the bottom, down here where this metal plate is as well, because these wires are going to be running down here and underneath this as well. So just to prevent any possible shorts We have not had any of those happen yet, but better safe than sorry. So down here, you can feel the plate ends right here. Just put this like this. Just wrap it over like that. All right, now we're actually going to start to solder to these joints here. So, grab your soldering iron. That should be preheated to probably the highest temperature you have, because these are some big traces and big wires, so it's going to be really hard to heat these up. So you're going to want to just pretty much max power to be able to reflow these. So you want to grab your solder, and you're probably going to have to do this first, but you want to make sure to tin your soldering iron, and bring it over here. Just touch these joints to try and get them reflowed a little bit once you sprayed off that conformal coating. Once you have a little bit of solder there, you just want to get them exposed first. Now, we've already done this here, so it's fine, but yeah. All right, when you get this connector, these leads at the end should be tinned. In the off chance that they're not, just go ahead, put them down, and add a little bit of solder to these ends here, just to make sure that there's already solder inside of this wire. All right, now we're going to want to come down and actually make magic happen. So first, this side is the positive, this flat side on this XT60 connector. This side here, the flat side, there's a curved edge. Flat side is the positive. Positive side, negative side. I'm going to come down with this positive side on this red wire. Red is positive, so I'm going to place this like this, and this wire is going to go to this one right here. So the XT60 here, down to the positive. Do not mess this up, because it will not work. All right, bring that here, your soldering iron out, add some solder to the top of your iron, hold this down. The wire might get kind of hot, so you might want to hold the wire itself with some tweezers, like I am right here. And yeah, so just get in there, however's comfortable. Make sure not to burn yourself. And then you want to hold your soldering iron on the top of this wire. Try to reflow the actual joint. Now you have to make sure that the original solder joint on the circuit board itself reflows with the wire. Otherwise you'll get what's known as a cold joint, and it could snap off and it just doesn't have a good electrical connectivity to it. Alright, and there we go. So that is successfully flowed. You can see all around it's reflowed to the actual board itself. Not an easy joint, but you can do it with a little bit of patience and a good soldering iron. Okay, so once your XT60 cable is soldered on here, we recommend just taking a little bit more tape, a little more electrical tape, trying to size, and then coming around right here, just putting this piece of tape right around these connections like this, just to further help insulate them. Okay, now that that's down, you're going to have to bend this down like this. And then feed this through underneath here so this comes out the front. You want a lot of slack on there, as your wire should have. Got to make sure of one important thing. Right where these solder joints come out and they bend down, you don't have a lot of clearance between here and the inside of here, inside your enclosure. So from right here to here. So you have to make sure that these joints are not sticking out too far this way, and that they can bend down almost immediately and come straight down underneath. If you need to, you can push it down, hammer it a little bit, try and bend it down, because the solder can flow into the wire and make it a little hard to bend, so you can just need to push it down a little bit, make sure it's bent, so it's as smooth and flush as you can get it going down. So bring it back up. It's going to go like this. It's going to be a little tight up here, but you can just push this up and push it down in here like that. Just make sure that your bolt holes align all the way, which they do. Get your drill back out and put the 4 screws that you originally took out back in. And there we go. Now you just bring this down here. Feed your wires back down, make sure the proper ones go into the proper slots back here. This one comes in this slot here, this one goes to the middle one back here, this one comes here, and this comes out right the middle, right there. You can grab these brackets again, find the right one. Nope, this goes on this side. That. This one goes here. Making sure, again, these edges here are facing up. Swapping bits back to your 5/32 hex nut, and simply putting your board back together. And the installation of your XC60 connector to connect to your box is complete. Now that the XC60 is installed, you can simply take the connector and bend it in an S shape like this. So that gives you a little bit of flexibility once the box is installed, so you don't have to get it right back in the same spot all the time. It'll still connect, and you'll still have these slack in these wires. So, grab our box, booster box here, the Velcro on the bottom. So I'm gonna make sure that this area is clean. You're putting here a nice little clean patch in the middle. Peel away the adhesive. It's a very, very strong adhesive, so make sure you place this down in the right place when you do, because it will not come back off once it's up. So simply take this, just out of the way, bring this here, place it right in the middle, wherever feels comfortable, and let's say right about there. And again, because it's Velcro, you can move it around a little bit after the fact. It'll be fine. Push it down, box is installed. Bring your wire back here. So X60 only fits in one way, like this. Bend it down and plug it in. And you are done. As it's installed. Okay, now that you want to go hit the streets with your new extended range board, simply make sure that both your board and the box are at the same charge level. By that we mean box fully charged, board also fully charged. Once they are, turn on your board first and then the box. Board on, display comes on, box on, now it's all on. Turn on the remote. And you're ready to go. Alright, to turn off your box and your board, first turn off your box. You're going to want to do this in the reverse order of turning it on. Turn that off, then turn off your board. See that everything goes down. This slowly goes down until it's off. Now everything's off.